Hi guys, Graham here again from Bainbridge Technologies. Today I'd just quickly like to discuss with you a product here called a Victron Smart Shunt and the importance of this smart shunt, especially with lithium batteries. So with lithium batteries, as you all are aware of, or if you're not aware of, the reason why they are so well received and work really well in an automotive or marine or 12 volt environment is the fact that they hold their voltage above the line for a very long time before they then drop off. What I mean by that is if you have an AGM battery, like a deep cycle battery, as soon as you connect it, it'll start dropping in its voltage range. So it starts at say 12.8, 12.9, and then drops in like a sudden, like a constant curve down to into the low 12s and below. You don't want to take it below that. You generally only take it down to 50%, which is around the 12 to 12.2 volts of the battery if you want to prolong the life. You can take it lower, but once you do take it lower, you are starting to do damage and irreparable damage to your AGM battery. So it's a fairly constant thing. As soon as you put a load on it, it drops down, and you can tell by your volts, 12.8, 12.9, you're fully charged, 12.6, I'm close to being down to near my 75% mark. So, but with a lithium battery, you can't really tell like that. So it'll be around that sort of 13.3 volt mark and will stay all that way for about 70% of its capacity of the battery. So you could be anywhere from 100% to sort of like, 30% left in your battery above 13 volts. So it's a very hard thing to distinguish. So by doing that, we use a shunt, and what a shunt does, it gets connected into the negative line, so between all your loads and the negative of your battery. And what it ultimately will do is it does a thing what we call Coulomb counting. Now, Coulomb counting is the way that it measures and counts the amps going in and the amps going out of the battery from a baseline. So when you first put this into your system, you set it up. It's a very easy thing to do. It's got Bluetooth. You can just set it up via Bluetooth by putting your battery parameters in there. So say if we had it connected to our 110 battery, for instance, the first line it asks you is the capacity of battery. So you put in 110. It's a lithium battery, so it's charged voltage. We recommend 13.8. And then from there you've got the PUCA, which you would change from 1.25 to 1.05, and the efficiency. And they're really the only four parameters you need to change. Once it's done that, and the batteries, you've charged it up to the point where you know the battery's full, because generally the charger will tell you when it's full because it won't be outputting any current. You can then just push the tab that says sync, and that'll sync that at 100% and use all those parameters that you put into it as its baseline. So if you've got nothing connected to the battery in a way of solar or already charging, and you've just got your loads on it, and you've pulled 10 amps out of the battery, for instance, effectively it's going to tell you that you're down to around the 90-91% state of charge. Awesome, that's all you need to know. Other than that, it will then also give you all the other information, like if you've got charge going out of it at 10 amps, it's going to basically tell you that you've really only got, pretty much 10 hours until you're out, until it's flat. Now, if you had 20 amps of charge going into this unit here, and you had 10 amps going out, it would tell you would have positive 10 amp flow, because you've got more going in than you've got going out. With a positive 10 amp flow, it's going to give all the readings that it's going to give you are about how long you've got until you run out. Now, if you stayed with that, it would just say infinity, because you've got more going in than it's ever going out. So ultimately, you're never going to run out of power. It'll just say infinity. If it was a smaller load, for instance, it would give you then a time to charge. So it might be, say, 10 hours to fully charged or something like that. So it's a great device to have, but it's ultimately the main things is it tells you your voltage and your state of charge, and it does that by counting it all. Don't need any monitors or anything like that, because it all comes up on your phone. But it is really important that it gets wired up correctly. It's a very simple thing to do. A lot of people still do ask us that question on how I do it. So quickly, just to explain to you, on this side here it says to system minus, and on here side it says to battery minus. Very simple. The negative all the negatives and the negatives that would normally connect to the negative pole on your battery, for instance, would now go to the side that says system. So you literally take all those negatives off the battery, put them on the system side, and then just put one cable between there back to the battery. And that's simply it. That's all you have to do. The only other thing you have to do is connect the positive up, because this thing obviously needs power, because it's a Bluetooth device, and it gets its power from the battery. So ultimately, there's two positions on here, because you can actually monitor two batteries. Now, I say that with a bit of, tongue in cheek, because the second battery, all it does give you is the voltage. But if it's your cranking battery or start battery, it's still an important thing to look at. But you've just got to make sure that you have the 2 pins configuration properly. You get 2 of these cables in this box. Now, if you just want to monitor your secondary battery or auxiliary battery, for instance, this is where the confusion starts, because on here they've got it labeled auxiliary and VBAT positive. So a lot of people put this into the auxiliary and then plug it to this battery that you want to monitor. Well, that's wrong, because that means then all you're going to get is the little band down the bottom of your phone, and it says battery voltage, and that's all you'll get, because the auxiliary actually means the auxiliary or the secondary battery that you want to monitor from this, which ultimately would be your start battery. So I would like them if they change that to battery source or vehicle battery or something like that, or cranking battery or whatever. Start battery would be the better one to go with. So this one here, this pin here, you literally just push that into this tab there, which says V battery positive. So the negative that would go to this battery negative here, that would then go to the positive of that same battery. And that's it, it's set up. And then all your loads would go to this side. And what I usually recommend to do to that, this is a fairly big one, because this is the one I used my earlier video on the 2000 watt inverter. So you have a single cable like this going across to your battery negative, and then from the system negative, I just have that connected to that, and then I would connect all my negatives up to the bus bar. Now, this bus bar can be used for all the negatives. Now, when I say all the negatives, that'll be the negatives from all your chargers. So if you've got a solar regulator, the negative from your solar reg will go to that. If you've got a DC to DC, the negative from your solar reg will go to that, and so forth. AC charger, the negative will go to that. Then all your loads, so like your fridges, your lights, any accessories that you're running in your camper, your trailer or vehicle, would all then go to this. So simply all your negatives for anything input or output would go to the bus bar. That one cable goes back to the shunt, and then that goes back to the battery, and that's simply it. Now, from your battery, obviously you would have that going out to like a distribution panel or a fuse box or a circuit breakers or whatever you're going to have between the loads, and how you're going to fuse your individual loads, because they need to be done at their own fusible links. So so it's quite simple to do, but it is an important thing to do. And as I said, I love this one because it's so simple. It's literally 2 cables to connect up, and monitoring it, you don't have to be in your van looking down at a monitor and pushing the button to see where you're going. Yes, you can have that. Victron do make a BMV as well, which has a shunt with a monitor on it, and the monitor can be Bluetooth, so you can still monitor it from Bluetooth with a monitor, but for 99% of the time you just use the Bluetooth shunt, and it's at your phone, so you can be around your campsite and see see what your draw is. So if you need to turn any lights off or things like that, if you need to conserve power to do so. So that's quite simply how you set up and connect the smart shunt to our batteries. Now, as I said, if it's from one of our slim lines which has the Anderson plug, we do sell an Anderson to battery terminal lead, so you can actually then connect the negatives straight up to this and the positive through to a fusible link if you want to, or you can make up your own. By all means, you can do that as well. So it is quite simple. And any other battery, obviously, you would just use ring terminal to ring terminal, and you're done. So hopefully that's explained that a little bit better for you. And if not, give us a call, and I can certainly discuss any issues that you might be having. And until next time, bye for now.